Well, Margo, people ask me every day, how's the market?
It's the market. It's always good in Crossville.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's not changed a lot. So what do you think? What are you seeing?
Well, I do feel it's not so much of a seller's market.
That's true, and I think we have the stats to back that up. So the absorption rate actually went down a little bit between July and August, but the absorption rate now is about 5.5 months worth of inventory.
Yeah.
So that's a normal market. We're edging into a normal market.
Yeah, I agree. Totally
And also this sold to list ratio, houses are selling at about 93.5% of the listing price. So that is some indication also that it's more of a normal market, edging toward a buyer's market. We've been in such a strong seller's market. To see that number drop, I think is big.
It is big. And I even this summer had a home where the seller paid part of the buyer's closing cost. I haven't had that since 2019.
I've seen more of that too.
Yeah.
And what about, have you seen price reductions? Are you seeing price reductions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I think people started off a little bit high, and it's been hard to price stuff, really. I mean,
It has been,
not a lot of comps.
No, and they want to price their house super high to see what happens, and then it sits on the market. And to me, that's a bad way to go. Is price at $50,000 high.
Yeah. You've got to be a little closer than that, or you miss that first few weeks on the market. You really need that activity the first few weeks.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Have you seen like your first 10 showings? The house is sold before you get to 10 showings in a regular market.
Yeah.
And I always find that first offer is usually the best offer.
Yeah, I think that an initial on the market is important. But I've seen a lot of price reductions and more inventory. So it looks like at the end of August, there were 286 houses on the market without including Fairfield Glade, which I think is huge. We've
And
not
that's
seen
in
that.
Cumberland County.
And last year at the end of August, there were 224. So that's a pretty significant increase in the amount of inventory.
It is. That's a lot of homes. That's 50 more homes available this August than last year.
And what about prices? What's our median? So sold median price was $301,500. That's the sold median price at the end of August.
It is.
That's amazing to me. But I felt like all summer, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, I feel like the higher dollar houses are selling more quickly than the lower priced houses right now, which is strange. Do you notice that?
Particularly in Fairfield, yes. But yeah, in Cumberland County, you see that all the time in Fairfield, but in Cumberland County, you're seeing that more.
And that median price jumped in August of 2023. That median price was $264,950.
Yeah.
So we're up almost $40,000.
Almost 14%.
Yeah, almost 14% in a year, and that's huge.
It is. It is, and even I've seen historically prices in Cumberland County go up 5, 6, 7, 8% a year.
Well, I think probably 5 to 6% is the average. That's what people expect.
So to see almost 14%
in what has been kind of a stagnant market, and all over the country, people are in stagnant markets, and so we're in one of the hot spots in the country right now. Everyone's trying to move to Tennessee.
They sure are.
The other thing that's kind of interesting is the average days on the market went up to 75, and we've not seen that in a long time.
No, we were last year at 46 days on the market. That's a huge increase.
Yeah, but that's normal. I mean, when I first started in real estate, you would do a year listing and have to extend it.
Right.
Because things didn't sell in a year, and now things are taking 75 days and people are kind of panicking by then.
They're panicking at 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the numbers that we've talked about are Cumberland County without Fairfield Glade. What about Fairfield Glade? That's a different market altogether in a lot of ways, because for those of you who don't know, Fairfield Glade is our retirement community, and we get a lot of retirees who are selling in other places and moving here. So this is not really local local buyers. Almost all of Fairfield Glade would be an out-of-state buyer. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Where in the county, we've had a lot of out-of-state buyers, but there's still that local traffic.
Yeah, and I think our county overall is growing, just not retirees.
Yeah.
People wanting to live on the plateau.
Yeah, I agree. And so in Fairfield Glade, we see a lot of turnover because people come here to retire, and then because of life circumstances have to go back closer to kids or move into assisted living. So there's always turnover in Fairfield, but the demand from out-of-state buyers really has been the story out there in the last 2 or 3 years, I think.
And they are also seeing that absorption rate go to 5.5
from 2.82 this time last year. So that's huge. So we're
double.
Yeah, so we're back in a normal market out there for the first time in probably 4 years. And so that means that people are being a little bit more competitive on the buying side. There's not multiple offers. I've still seen some multiple offers, but not as many. Here's another interesting thing out there. The sold to list ratio in Fairfield has dropped below 93%.
Yeah.
And that was a big drop. I mean, just in April, it was at 97%. So that 97% of the listed price is what they're typically selling for. Now we're down under 93%. So that's pretty telling that we definitely are back in a normal market in Fairfield. Now, the other thing that this is just crazy to me, this is kind of mind-boggling, but the median sale price in Fairfield Glade is $418,000 now.
Yeah.
So
418.
And last year,
$1,000.
and last year this time it was $376,450. So we're up just over 11% from last year. So that's huge. I mean, I thought 376 last year was high, but now we're at 418,250.
Yeah,
average.
The new homes up there are basically 400 to 500,000.
Right.
They're nice homes, but that's the average home, new build home.
Right. And a lot of $1 million homes.
We'd be like, hey, there's a $1 million home in Cumberland County. Now, I don't know how many there are.
It's not uncommon. If you're on Lake Dartmoor, they're over $1 million.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, there's still only a handful in that category. It looks like the bulk of the homes that sold in Fairfield were between 400 and 550, 400,000 and 550.
And a lot of that are the new builds, I believe.
Yeah, I really think new construction is still alive and well out there.
Yeah.
There's not as many as there were, but the inventory is up. So in Fairfield, there were 36 homes that sold in August of 2024, and that's actually down to, there were 38 homes that sold there last year, but then the number of active listings in Fairfield, and this is where I think you can see that we're getting more toward a normal market. That's almost double. There were 143 in August, and there were 81 last August. So that's up 76.5%. So that's where we're starting to see a big change in Fairfield Glade, I think, is the number of active listings.
Absolutely.
People have a lot more to pick from.
Yeah. And average days on market, it's up to almost 2 months in Fairfield Glade, where it was closer to 1 month a year ago.
Yeah, so still a little different than the county. It's
definitely a higher price.
Higher price. And I think the people who are moving into Fairfield Glade are typically selling somewhere, and they're coming with cash to buy, so they're not quite as affected by the interest rates. I feel like in the county, people are more affected by the interest rates, and people have been kind of on the fence about, do we buy now or do we wait for a price reduction or an interest rate reduction?
Yeah.
Have you been seeing some of that?
They have, they've come from California. They have plenty of cash to buy a home here. So
if they're coming from somewhere where homes are still selling quickly and for a good price, then they're not worried about the interest rates when they get here.
Yeah.
And they're also mostly retired, and so maybe they're financially better off than the people in the county. The ones that really are hurting right now, I feel like, are the people who are young and just getting started, and they're trying to buy their first home, and they get approved for $200,000, and there's nothing for them to buy in that price range.
No.
So that, I think, affecting the market in the county as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. If, you're a resident here and you want to move to a bigger home or downsize, it's difficult. Those house payments are high.
Yeah. I ran some numbers for a friend of mine for a $300,000 house with an FHA loan, which FHA rates we think are hovering at about 6% right now. That makes that payment with their taxes and escrow, that makes that payment just almost $2,000 a month. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially if you're, a young
couple with a child or two.
And even people who are professionals with decent paying jobs, that's a big chunk of money. And then you think about inflation with gas and groceries, and paying a $2,000 house payment has hurt those people.
Yeah.
So I think that's changed the market some in the county. So now indications are that the interest rates will come down, and we've seen some of that happening. I think lenders have already been anticipating that and have been dropping just a little bit. So we'll see how that changes.
Yeah, 5% interest rate would be a blessing for people trying to find a home.
Yeah.
That live here already.
Yeah. Well, and then our other market is Lake Tansi. So Lake Tansi is another HOA community, a little more, what would you say, a little more relaxed than Fairfield Glade?
Laid back.
Yeah.
Fewer restrictions. There are restrictions. They don't have the amenities, that Fairfield Glade has, but they still have pickleball and tennis courts and activities going on. They do have 2 new pools there.
And the only all sports lake, well, the second all sports, but the biggest all sports lake in the county.
Where you can actually water ski or have a
Tubing.
motorized boat on the water.
So what are you seeing in Lake Tansi? That's kind of your market.
Lake Tansi is shockingly more affordable than the county or Fairfield Glade. The average sale price is $263, which I find that very surprising. There's a ton of building still going on out there. I'm seeing new homes just being started, so they're going to hit the market next spring.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see.
And so new home prices in Tansi, I'm seeing, and most people in Tansi, granted, are building more of a starter home, and
Yeah.
Fairfield has, a little more high-end new construction going on. So, but the new home prices that I'm seeing in Fairfield Glade are, about $225 a square foot? So I'm
Yeah.
seeing some that are just under $300,000 for
Yeah,
a
that-
1,200 square foot.
$299 kind of starting point. A few of them are $325. Like you said, they're not, all marble and tile. They're a little
Round
bit.
molding, just a nice,
It's a nice home.
a nice starter home.
Yeah.
And so
Not
I'm seeing the luxury vinyl plank, and most of them do have granite cabinets.
Yeah.
Or granite countertops, but I'm seeing like the acrylic showers and not a full tile shower bath. So just a more moderate.
Yeah, economical home.
Yeah, so I think you could easily buy a 1,200 square foot starter home in Lake Tansi for right around $300,000 right now, with a garage. And I've seen a few that don't have garages that are going to be a little bit less than that. I think we sold one a couple months ago that was around $260 without a garage. So I do think that's helping Tansi. It's staying more affordable, and that's good for the local people. And
Yeah, average days on market at Lake Tansi is almost 70 days, which last year was 35 days. So
we
completely doubled.
doubled. And now the number of listings in Tansi has stayed pretty stable. So at the end of August, we were at, 38 listings in Tansi? And the listing prices have also stayed pretty stable. So we're just not seeing a lot of fluctuation out there. Absorption rate is the lowest. It's 4.5. So that's lower than both Fairfield Glade and
Which is
the
actually
county.
double from last year.
Yeah.
I think there are more homes on the market now. It's easier to find a home there. Last summer it was difficult. So that's nice to see.
But the one thing that is interesting in Tansi is the sold to list ratio is almost 98%. So we're not seeing the negotiating room in Tansi
No.
like we are in other places.
Yeah, you're saying this is the price, this is the price.
And they're priced lower anyway, so you would kind of expect that. If it's a lower priced home, there's typically not as much room to negotiate the price. But I still have seen a few concessions. Well, thank you, Margo.
Thanks, Sheryl. We'll be back next month with the market update.